In previous lecture, we have discussed the part of appendicular skeleton. In appendicular skeleton, we have discussed the shoulder girdle or pectoral girdle. Shoulder girdle consists of basically two bones, clavicle and scapula. And now we are here to discuss about upper limb or upper extremities. Both are same thing, limb or extremity. Upper limb basically consists of four regions. What are the four regions? We will discuss one by one. First of all, brachium. Brachium or arm. Simply call it arm. Second is antebrachium. Or forearm. Anti mean before. Before arm. That is forearm or antebrachium. And third is carpus. Simply called it wrist. Fourth one is manus. And also call it hand. First of all, we are going to look at brachium or arm. Brachium, the part of brachium, the part of upper limb, that is brachium, the first part is extended from shoulder to elbow and contains only just one bone, that is humerus. Second part is antebrachium or forearm. When we are standing at anatomical position, we see that in forearm or antebrachium, there is a two bones that is parallel to each other. When we are standing at anatomical position, that two bones are, one is ulna and second is radius. Radius is lateral to the ulna. And third one is carpus or wrist. Carpus or wrist consists of 8 bones. 2 rows. Humerus is just single bone. Ulna and radius 2 and 8 bones at carpus or wrist. And manus or hand. Manus or hand basically consists of two portions. One is metacarpal and second is phalanges. Metacarpals are palm of the hand and basically consists of 5 bones. And phalanges are fingers and it contains in 14 bones. So we can say that there are 30 bones in each limb, because in appendicular skeleton there are 2 limbs. One is right and one is left. So 30 bones in each limb. And we can count of 1 is humerus, 2 is ulna and radius and contains in antebrachium or forearm, and carpus or wrist 8 bones, 5 in metacarpal and 14 are in phalanges. So these are total 30 bones in each limb. Now we are going to talk about just brachium, the part of upper limb, that is humerus, because it contains in just single bone, that is humerus. So humerus is a type of long bone. Humerus is a type of long bone. It has a shaft and condyles. It is as we have discussed, that it is a type of long bone and is a region and is a belong to the region of brachium. Brachium is arm, and it is a single bone and two in number on each limb. One is left and one is right. In skeletal system, in skeleton, there is a two humerus. When we are going to talk about its structure, there is a head. Before we really go to in detail of humerus, we should learn about some terminologies which will be used in upcoming session as well as in this session. So first of all, we will discuss tuberosity. What is tuberosity? As we have discussed earlier, that tuberosity is a rough surface over the bone and second one is fossa, a hollow space or hollow border space in any bone. And third one is tubercle, small rounded projection or small rounded process of any bone. And fourth one is sulcus, the groove or line in any bone which is the passage of nerve, blood vessel or tendon. Groove for tendon, vessel or nerve. So these are the terminologies. We will use it in upper limb or especially humerus. In humerus, there is a hemispherical head. It's not a spherical. It's not a whole circle. It's just hemispherical, half circle. There is a hemispherical head that articulated with the cartilage. This is the hemispherical head, articulated with cartilage, and it has a smooth surface, and it is bordered by a groove. Here is a groove. That groove is called anatomical neck. Just below or lateral to the anatomical neck, there is a rough projection. There is a projection or bony prominence that is called tubercle. Small rounded projection that is called tubercle. One is superior and other is inferior. The superior is much greater than inferior. So this is called greater tubercle, and the inferior is lesser tubercle. Between these two tubercles, there is a sulcus. Here the tendon accommodates over here, and this tendon and this groove is called intertubercle sulcus. Again remember, the head of humerus is hemispherical and articulated with the cartilage, and it is bordered by a groove that is called anatomical neck, and just lateral to this head of humerus there is a bony projection, small rounded projection, that is called tubercle. One is superior and one is lateral or inferior. The superior one is called greater tubercle and inferior is called lesser tubercle. And between these tubercle there is a sulcus, and accommodate it is the tendon that is called intertubercle sulcus. And beyond to these tubercle, there is a narrow neck of humerus that is called surgical neck. Here is the narrow portion of humerus just distal to the tubercle, that is called surgical neck. Surgical neck, because this is a common fracture site in fractures. That's why this is called surgical neck. And beyond to the surgical neck, there is a shaft. Here is a shaft. And later to the shaft, there is a rough surface. Here is a rough surface. That is called tuberosity. And this tuberosity is called deltoid tuberosity, because deltoid muscles of shoulders are attached over here. That is called trochanter. Now we are going to look at the distal part of the humerus. Distal part of the humerus, there is a smooth surface that is called condyles. Condyles means, as we have discussed earlier, what are condyles? Condyles are the rounded knob that articulates with the bone. So here are the two condyles. One is medial and one is lateral. This is the medial condyle and this is the lateral condyle. The lateral condyle is called capitulum. The medial condyle, that is called trochlea. The capitulum, that is lies laterally, is a fat tile. Its structures look like a fat tile, and the polar structure of trochlea that articulates with the forearm bone of ulna, and the capitulum is attached with the head of the radius. Just distal to these condyles, the humerus is flares into two bony projection. One is here and second is here. One is medially and one is laterally. The two projections, one is medially and one is laterally. These two projections are called epicondyles. Epicondyle. The epicondyle which lies medially, that is called medial condyle, and the lateral condyle, the epicondyle lies laterally, that is called lateral condyle. Okay. This is the anterior view. This is the posterior view. When we see anterior view of humerus, the distal part of the humerus, these are two condyle. One is medially and second is laterally. The name of lateral condyle, that is called capitulum, and the middle condyle, that is trochlea. Trochlea is articulated with the bone of ulna, and the capitulum is articulated with the bone of radius. Beyond to the condyles, there is a bony projection just distal to the condyle, that is called epicondyle. And the epicondyle means the rough projection or bony projection, that is called epicondyle. The medially is called middle condyle, and the lateral, that is called lateral condyle. This is the anterior view. And posterior view, there is a fossa. There are three types of fossa. Two are anterior and one is posterior. Just try to concentrate over it, because this is the complex structure of humerus. It is a distal, because it makes it forms a elbow joint. So we are here to look at that the epicondyle and the fossa and the part of ulnar and as well as the radial bone makes a joint that is called elbow joint. So this is the fossa, anterior fossa. One is medial and second is lateral. And posteriorly we have to see that there is another fossa that is posteriorly lies, that is called olecranon fossa. Olecranon fossa. And anteriorly the medial fossa is called coronoid fossa, and the lateral fossa, that is called radial fossa. Look at it. Olecranon fossa, which lies posteriorly of the distal part of the humerus, where it olecranon process. This is the ulna. This is the radial bone. At olecranon fossa, here the olecranon process of ulnar bone attached over here posteriorly, and it helps to extend the elbow joint. And when we are talking about the anterior view of humerus, this distal part of the humerus, here we see that the medial fossa, that is called coronoid fossa. Here the coronoid process of ulnar bone. This is the coronoid process of ulnar bone. We will discuss the radial and ulna in next session. Is attached over here while we flex the elbow joint. And the radial fossa is indicated by name, that is head of radius is articulated over here. Just one thing more is the funniest thing in this humerus, that the medial condyle is popular as a funny bone, because here is a ulnar bone. Ulnar nerve passes over superficially across the posterior side of elbow joint and is often produces a tingling sensation or blunt-like situation when such condyle is striking with any sharp objects, especially table or any chair. So that's why this condyle is also often called as a funny bone. In upper limb, the second point, the second region is antebrachium. In antebrachium or forearm, there's two bones which are parallel to each other. One is radius and second is ulna. These two bones are parallel to each other. Radius is, this is the radius, this is ulna. Radius is lateral and ulna is medial. This is the anterior view, this is the posterior view. The radius bone, the proximal head of, this is the proximal part, this is the distal part, the proximal part which is attached and form a elbow joint with articulation of humerus. Here is a humerus. The distal part of humerus. Here is the condyle we have discussed. There were two condyles, one is lateral and one is medial. The lateral condyle was capitulum. The head of radius, which is lateral to the ulnar bone, head of radius is articulate with capitulum, which is the lateral condyle of humerus, and this head is freely rotates when we backward or forward rotate our hand. For this rotation, there is another radial notch of ulna. Radial notch. This is the radial notch of ulna, also used to rotate our hand. Just distal to the head of radius, there is a neck, narrow portion. This is the neck of radius. Just inferior to the neck of the radius, there is a rough tuberosity that is called radial tuberosity. Here is the bicep muscles insertion. And distal to the radius, there is a process laterally that's called styloid process. Styloid process. This was the radial bone and the ulnar bone, which is medial to the radius. There is a notch C-shape process that is called olecranon process. Olecranon process. We have discussed in humerus session that olecranon process posteriorly attached with the olecranon fossa of distal part of humerus. And anteriorly, here is a notch that is called trochlear notch. When we place our hand on table, the olecranon process is touched with the table. Distal to the olecranon process is another process that is called styloid process. There are four processes. That the name of that process is styloid process. Styloid process medially, laterally, styloid process of radius medially, styloid process of ulna medially, and styloid process of ulna is laterally. The name of these processes are same as styloid process. The structure of styloid process is very important when we counting pulse in physical examination, especially the radial pulse. We can feel easily radial pulse. Just locate the landmark of styloid process just proximal to the thumb. Here is the styloid process. And when you feel the radial pulse, you have to just locate immediately medial to this process, and you can feel the radial pulse easily. Here is the lateral process of styloid process of radial. You can feel over here, just medial to the lateral process of radius. You can feel medial to the styloid process. Here will be a radial pulse. Now, in the next session, the important point of styloid process is that here is the articular surface, which is articulate the carpal bones to articular surface lateral of the radial bone that is attached with the scaphoid and lunate, the bones of carpus, and made a carpal joint. These two bones are attached with each other with the ligament between them, and that ligament called interosseous membrane. Medially, they are attached with the inner margin of these bones. Medially, the margin that is called interosseous margin, and the ligament which is attached, that is called interosseous membrane. We have seen the radial and ulna are attached at 3 points. First of all, the head of ulna, head of radius is attached with olecranon process of ulna, and second is the radial notch of ulna, and third is distally it attached here the ulnar notch of radius, and it also helps to rotate our hand. Just distal to the olecranon process, there is a short process that is called coronoid process. Coronoid process, which is attached when we flexed our hand, and it attached over here, that is coronoid fossa. And here was radial fossa. While flexion of our arm, the radial head of radius is fixed over here, the radial fossa, and the coronoid process of ulnar bone is fixed when we flex our hand at coronoid fossa. In carpus region, there are 8 bones in 2 rows. At distal part of radius, there is an articular surface. Here are 2 bones are attached. One is scaphoid and second is lunate. Pecutrum and pisiform. And the second row, the first row, scaphoid, lunate, pecutrum and pisiform. The second row is trapezoid, trapezium, capitate, hamate. These are the short bones and arranged in two rows. The first row, that's called proximal row, and the second is distal row. These two rows are arranged at carpus joint. First is proximal and second is distal. The four bones are arranged in two rows, in each rows. The first row, that is proximal. In proximal, there are four bones. Two are typically attached with the articular surface of a radius bone, that is scaphoid and lunate, and the third one is tachytrum and pisiform, and the fourth row and the second row contains four bones, that is trapezium, trapezoid, capitate, hamate. You people can remember with the funny style that she looks too pretty, try to catch her. It is an old method to remember she looks too pretty, try to catch her. S, she, L, looks, tachytrum, to, pisiform, pretty, trapezium, try, trapezoid, to, capitate, catch, hamate, her. The fourth region of upper limb, that is menis or hand. And the last region, that is menis or hand. In hand, there are two portions. One is metacarpal and second is phalanges. There are 5 bones of metacarpals in each hand and make a palm of the hand. Palm, metacarpal, 5 bones. When we see it in skeleton, you will feel, you can see that phalanges are look like metacarpals, are look like just phalanges because it's an extension of phalanges. Here are the 5 metacarpals which make the palm of the hand. Five bones. Here is the base of the metacarpal. Here is the base. Here is the body and the distal part of this is the head. And this is head of phalanges, metacarpals. And the phalanges, the second part of menis or hand, that is phalanges. These are 14 in number, 3 in each row, 3 in each finger except of thumb. 3 in each finger. These are also the look like the extension. Here is the thumb. There is just 2 bones and 5 bones at metacarpal. This is the metacarpal region. And this is the phalanges. The structure of phalanges and metacarpals are same. Here is the base, body and head. Here is the base, body and head. These are 14 in number, 3 in each row, 3 in each finger and 2 are in thumb. Here is the wrist joint. The wrist joint is made up of 8 carpus bone we have discussed, and here are the metacarpals and then phalanges, and these 14 and 5 bones are joined and make the fourth one portion of upper limb. That is, in this lecture we have discussed upper limb, the 4 regions of upper limb. One is brachium, antebrachium, wrist or carpus, and fourth one is menis or hand. And 3 joints we have discussed in this lecture. First is shoulder joint, second is elbow joint, and third is carpus joint. Next we will cover the pelvic girdle in upcoming session. Any question up till now in this session? No question? Class dismissed.